Well, hello everybody! Welcome back to G-Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. Here we are in front of my Midnight Classic on September 16, 2020. So I've been getting into a lot of reading on this thing, and I have to pick up a few more items before I can attempt an install on it and read a little bit more of the book. It's like 70 pages long or so, with lots of information in there. Lots of good information and great learning curve. When I started off, and I recommend, oh, excuse me. Wow. Smoke is horrible out here, and we'll get to that later. But the learning curve on this is great, because reading the book I learned a few things, and I'll show you the battery room in a little while. But also, what I didn't know was when people complain that they're not getting the wattage that's coming out of their solar panels, or what the panels say they are. Like, say you got a 100-watt panel and you got 4 of them, so everybody's expecting to get 400 watts out of that. Well, apparently what's going on there is much like the wind turbines. They overrate them. It's kind of a way of them making a sale on the item. So what it is that the panels are actually tested in a laboratory and put together, and they're just done with math for, say it's a 100-watt panel. So that's what they sell them as. But you can only expect 80% of that. That's what that panel is going to make. So you're only going to get 80 watts out of that panel, not 100. So when you look at your controllers and you say, well, heck, I got 400 watts of panels, but I'm only getting 320 watts of power. That's the max I ever see. That's because that's what you're all ever going to see. That's the way it is. So I learned that from reading the book on this. A couple other things I learned in there, but we'll get into those some other time. So anyway, I've taken the cover off of this, and that blue wire right there actually plugs into the back of the cover. But so you don't tear the wire out, you take it loose. And then they recommend when you're working on it while it's hung, you put a screw in that top corner right there like that, just to hold the cover so that the wire doesn't hang on the connection. So this is what the inside of it looks like. And here's where my wire connections go: battery and solar, or batteries and turbine, or batteries and hydro. So you can't mix the two together in one controller. You can't put solar and hydro or solar and wind into the same controller. You need separate controllers for that. But everything I've read about this thing so far has got me really, really liking it. Now, here's my internet connection here. This is where Cat 6 cable will go over to my router and switch right there. So the other connection here is for a temperature gauge, or temperature meter. Now, I didn't get that. So well, they also sell a connection that you can use to make a wireless connection between this and your computer if you want. But one thing I got to do is, before I get this whole thing connected, is get it powered up, and then connect my computer to it and go online and download the latest firmware for this system, because you can do that online. All right, right here beside it, what you're looking at, this is a isolator switch, or what I call a cutoff switch, that connects to, you can put it in your car for a battery. This is a 100 amp unit, so it'll handle 100 amps, so it's pretty powerful. So I'm going to be putting that between the battery connection and the battery. So if I need to disconnect the batteries from this for any reason, you just use one of these little red keys, stick it down in the hole, turn it, click, it's disconnected. That's all there is to it. Okay, then coming in from the solar panels, from the group of arrays, I'll have this waterproof 100 amp circuit breaker. high amp circuit breaker. And that'll be from all my panels will come in and go through that before they go to the bus bar. That the bus bar I'll be able to connect multiple connections to that. So I bring everything into bus bar, bring it through the 100 ampere so that I'm protected. And also, if I need to disconnect the incoming power from solar, I don't have to go unplug wires. All I do is hit the button on the breaker and disconnect it from that. All right, so got that part done. Now, this little cover comes off also, and underneath here they had this little display paper, how to install the display guide, because you can actually take this display out and connect it remotely somewhere else, like put it inside your cabin so you can see the display inside the cabin. Sounds silly to me because the controls are here, but you could also work this thing off of a computer, so we'll go there. Now there's a little tab here where it says remove. Not supposed to remove that until you're ready to do setup, because that's a battery backup to keep the information, the memory. This thing is going to keep memory for like a year's time or something like that. And I can go back and look at the different inputs and outputs that I had months ago if I want to. So I don't see myself doing that, but I can't wait to get this thing hooked up. And this is not a lightweight unit. This thing is like 12 pounds. So they did send me some electrical silicone grease here that you're supposed to put on the connectors before connecting them together. This little blue thing is supposed to go right here after you make your connections, but there's already one in here, so I don't need that one. So they gave me an extra one of those, but they didn't give me the temperature sensor wire, so I'll have to get on the phone and see if I can get one of those. Now all your wires go through these openings, and for the extra openings, they have these little screened plugs that go in there, because this has two cooling fans inside of it that suck air in through this and blow it up, and it comes out through here, so it keeps the unit cooler. And there's also another box you can buy to mount onto the back of this and make all your wire connections in the box behind it. I don't think I'll need that, but anyway, can't wait to get this thing hooked up to see what's going to happen. And I think I'm going to be really happy. And if I can, I'm going to pick up 4 more solar panels and of those 305s, because they're actually only 240s or 250s if you're looking at 80% of their rating. So I'd like to get that all connected up here, and then all my old panels, I'm going to be doing a new project with that up at the water tank. Be putting in a whole new battery room up there and a pump room, a pump station in there. And I'm going to have a pressurized pump that pumps my water down to the cabin, instead of me having a pump inside the cabin pumping the water up to the faucets. I'll have water pressure at all my faucets equal. So I'm looking forward to that too. All right, coming around outside. So since I hooked up Andy's controller there, the sun is set when I'm still getting 12.6 in there, 12.7 actually. And these things were all up in the 13s today, 13.9 even. So I had plenty of power coming in when the sun was out. And even though I was using electricity, I was plenty of electricity coming in and plenty of electricity stored. So something else I learned in that book about batteries. Remember, I had them all tight together like that down there. They don't like that. They want air spaces, at least a 1/2-inch air gap in between those batteries, because the batteries will start heating up, and you need to disperse that heat. Otherwise, it shortens the life of your batteries. So you guys out there that have battery banks and you got your batteries all crunched up tight together, get out there and put a 1/2-inch space between them. Now that space is a little larger, and so is that one and that one, because I got to actually move these and equalize them. That little gap against the wall there, I got to make a gap in there. And then I'll do the second row down here, and I'll do those last two down there. The last two I've separated slightly because I put a temperature gauge between there that came with the rover. And that's reading the temperature of those batteries down there. But got to have airspace between your batteries, people. Something new, something learned every day. If you don't learn something new every day, you wasted a day of your life. All right. So we got all of that done. And I'm glad that it's all done. I'll be putting in the new controller soon and taking out all of the older controllers. I won't need those anymore. And I'll have two controllers in there. I'm going to have the Renogy Rover, and I'm going to have my new Midnite Classic 150. That's the only two controllers I'll need to bring in all of the power that I can bring in, which is going to be close to just under 4 kilowatts of power coming in. 80% of that. All right, everybody. Hey, chickens are starting to leave me 3 eggs a day now. So I got plenty of eggs. Have to get back to my doing my baking and stuff like that, and doing French recipes. Now, for those of you who don't know that, anything that you hear that's French toast, French bread, anything like that, the reason that they call it French is because it has egg in it. Didn't know that, did you? All right. Well, you know it now. And you can tell people, hey, I learned that on G-Bear's Off-Grid Ways, says Homestead in the Desert. All right, everybody. Smoke is horrible. We're going to come over here, look at the sun, the red sun up there in the sky. Totally unhealthy air here. And I saw on the news this morning that this smoke from the California wildfires has not only reached Canada, but it's also reached New York City. Can you imagine that? This smoke from all of the wildfires burning in California has gone all the way across the North American continent, and it is affecting people in New York City. Wow. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I hope they catch the people that lit these fires and string them up by, well, I'm not going to say that. It's kind of a family channel. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you joining in every day. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to leave questions and comments below. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to subscribe down there. G-Bear signing off.